Thank you for coming this evening. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Here. Councilman Camello.
Here.
Councilwoman Coder.
Here.
Councilwoman Heffley.
Here.
Councilman Helbling.
Here.
Councilman Scisciani.
Here.
Councilwoman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi.
Here.
President Woshner.
Here.
Mayor Doscher.
Here.
Okay, are there any visitors that wish to speak? If you can step up to the podium, state your name and address, and if you can write it on the register, you will have 5 minutes now, and you would have an additional 2 minutes at the end of the meeting. Any visitors who wish to speak? Okay, no visitors wish to speak. Thank you for coming this evening. Tom, if you'd like to step up.
Tom Kelly, I live at 24 South Bryant Avenue. I'm also a member of the Public Works. I have 2 subjects. I'm going to go right through so I get the 5 minutes. I don't think it'll take nearly that. In October, I paid a tax bill. I received a friendly reminder from Joe Nolan about a real estate tax that was due. I called about a late fee. He told me that I wanted to pay the face value, and he told me I had to go to council. So I went to the finance committee. I explained my plan. I told them, they told me they had about 10 or 11 other people who also had the same concerns about not receiving their tax bill. They would let me know about waiving the late fee. After 2 months plus, I decided to mail Joe Nolan the face value of the tax that was due. I get a return from Joe Nolan. He said it was too late. He turned it over to Jordan Tax Services. He suggested that I write a letter to council. I sent a letter to council with my check for the face value. I get my check returned. Quote, unfortunately, at this time, the Council of the Borough of Bellevue will not consider the waiving of late fees associated with unpaid tax bills. So I get a bill from Jordan. I paid Jordan $36.26 penalty, $5 cost, $40.39 commission. I'm out $81.65 because I never heard anything in a timely response from the Borough Council. On top of this, I do not get a receipt unless I send them a self-addressed stamped envelope. What a joke. Did all of council hear my plea and consider mine and possibly the 10 or 11 others' plights about not receiving the tax bills? I really think it is unfair to charge me $81.65 for a bill I never received. There are always various changes because of councils, some directly, some indirectly. The last 2 DASs have gone. The borough solicitor and the auditors have been changed. The past president of council has been changed. The hiring conditions for summer help has changed, not always for the good. 2 of the people that we had didn't even make it through the summer. Are we making changes just to make change? Who is next? Obviously the mayor, maybe the police chief, maybe the superintendent of public works. We got to work together, people. Now, here's a change. I'm asking you, please do not change. There's a rumor that I have heard about changing the overseer of our pension plan. The plan participants are very satisfied with Univest. It's a very profitable company. Our part of the fund is 100% funded under public works. These people are accessible. Anybody can call them and ask them question. We, the plan participants, are the major contributors. I hope you people will show additional responsibility and not allow this change to happen. Do not make a change just to make a change. The plan participants are ready and prepared if we run into a nightmare with this. That's all I have to say. If you want to answer any of my questions, I appreciate it.
Okay, I was told that it was not within our authority to waive any of the charges for the property tax late charge. So that's what I was told, so that's not something that we can do. It's not even within our authority. Also, we haven't even talked about changing Univest. That has not been a subject that we have addressed at this point. And as for change, change happens. I mean, some of those changes that you talked about are not within our control, and then you're going to see changes. I mean, I think change can be good.
Well, if there's no talk about changing the pension overseer, fine. If there is talk, we are all very satisfied. I've talked to many plan participants, and these people have been super.
Okay, thank you.
And you say that it's not your authority to waive my late fee. Whose is it?
That's what I was told. I do not know. That is what we were told.
We would need to work with Jordan Tax Service directly because they are the billers and billing system. So unfortunately, you're going to get bounced back to Jordan. It's their fees that need to be waived for you at this point.
Well, it seems to me with a 2.5 month delay on an answer, somebody could have picked up a phone and says, Jordan, the man paid his bill, end of conversation. Thank you.
I apologize because that would be something that our borough manager would do, and I just made an assumption that he would do it. I mean, because he would be the borough manager, the supervisor, and he works with all the administrative duties. So I do apologize that he didn't. But I know Pam's used to make some adjustments.
And our office does do delinquent tax collection. We don't do it here, obviously, but we're able to make adjustments based on different calls. I don't know how Jordan will be particularly, but we're able to work with people. So I know if you call Jordan, and explain to them, if you're able to get to somebody who can understand your situation with the notice, that's probably your best bet. But once the taxes go and the tax collector is exonerated, those taxes get passed along to the delinquent tax collector, and it's really not here. It goes to a separate company. Like I said, my office does that for several municipalities. So it becomes a little bit more difficult. You just have to work directly with Jordan.
Well, somebody could have made a phone call, I think.
Well, we don't know if he made a phone call or not since
I
he's
can't speak to that. If I can call them when I'm back in the office to see if I can help at all. I can't promise anything, again, because it's their fees, essentially, but I can try.
Yeah, I'd like to know if any mail came back.
Well, I got the letter from Mr. Kelly and I passed it along to you all. That was the first that I knew of this, situation. I spoke with Mr. Nolan and explained to him what I received from you, and he is echoing everything that we're saying, which is to work with Jordan directly. So I can call. I'm not quite sure what I'll be able to do, but I can do that and let you know.
That'd be nice, because $81 is,
It's $81.
had to buy it.
I understand.
Thank you.
Can you keep me updated on that to see what they say? Okay, any other visitors who wish to speak? Okay, thank you for coming. At this time, I would like to introduce our county representative, Amanda Green-Hawkins. Thank you for coming this evening. And you're going to update us on
a couple of things.
Good.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, and members of council, and to the residents of Bellevue Borough here this evening. Thank you very much for allowing me an opportunity to speak to you. The last meeting I attended, I was introducing myself and asking about
a pet thief.
the needs and concerns of the borough, and don't ask for much. And you asked about paving the road that goes into Continuum Park. And so working through economic development and housing with the county, it looked like it would be eligible for funding through the CITF fund, which comes through the gaming funds. The application however, was denied, and the application was denied because it looked like you were asking for about 80% for the funding from the application. And that means that you would provide 20% of the funding. And because the funding it's a competitive process, everyone's asking for funds right now, the more money that you would be able to contribute, the better chances of success you would have for your application. And they're talking probably closer to 60, 55%, closer to halfway. So if there's a way that you can look at funding that you'd be able to devote to that project and kind of get closer to that number for both parties, then it's a higher likelihood of success. And I can pound on the table a little harder to help you get that money. Another application that was pending, it looks like it was pending through the COG, was for Bain Park. And that application was denied, it looks like, because you're in phase 2. And phase 2, I'm sorry.
We're not done, that's the reason.
Right, okay, so you want, everybody knows that, okay. Okay, great, so we'll repeat that.
So we will, apply for that third phase, the next round.
Yes, because those funds are competitive, all the funding is competitive, we know this. And the federal government has been cutting back on the amount of CDBG funds they've been giving across the board, so that means that there's less for the county to devote as well. So when projects aren't at certain phases, kind of like going to a bank when you have a home construction loan, you need to be at a certain completion point before you're able to draw more funds or ask for more funds, and it's the similar situation with this. So,
the only thing that I thought whenever we applied that it was that we were going to get all 3 phases was going to be funded, because this is a community type thing. So I'm hoping that when we do it next year that it's only because of the delay in getting it constructed. Because that's really important to have that, because that's, bathroom facilities and some other things, parking and yes, lighting. So I'm hoping, because that was my impression, that we were going to have all 3, and that's why we agreed to it.
You weren't aware that it was application, funding, completion, and application, funding, completion? I thought it was just one application and 100% funding.
Yeah.
Sure.
Typically, the county, and I've tried to keep them all on the same page with some of these issues. Typically, the county won't run another phase. They'll break it into phases to make it financially manageable over a period of time. And the county advised me in my conversations with them at Economic Development that they would not be supporting a phase 3 grant until we were able to shore up everything in phase 2. And I have advised council about the CITF funding. If they try to leverage some additional funds, that the application would be more competitive, so that you can support it for the borough. So they put a portion of that project out to bid for this year, and hopefully they'll get it funded with their own capital so that we can reapply for next year's round of funding.
Great.
Is that what they're wanting us to do at this juncture?
And just for clarification, everyone's information with the CDBG funds, it's a grant, you get the money, and it should be spent by a certain time, or else you risk losing the funding from the feds the next time. So you already have money you have to use, so why should we give you more money? So just keep that in mind. That's the reasoning. Recently, County Council approved a bill to allow Consol Energy to drill for natural gas out at Pittsburgh International Airport. That was executed and for the necessary studies and permits and all of that to be obtained, so that drilling can begin possibly within the next year and a half, somewhere around there, we're anticipating. Okay. Port Authority transit. You know that the governor has this transportation funding proposal, and we're a little concerned with the county, as we always are with Port Authority funding, because, you know, last year, when there was an issue about funding for Port Authority, perhaps we have to cut all these bus routes. The governor came through with some funding to help us. The county had to come up with some money, and we did. And we also had to go to RAD, the Regional Asset District, for about $3 million. Now, that was a one-time only proposition. So, going forward, we're going to have to figure out how we, as the county, fill that gap. And going into budget season this year, you know, that will be on our mind for the future. And there are questions about where we're getting the money, and of course, people are speaking about raising the drink tax, just to give you a heads up about that, but that's not a given. And finally, property assessment's another big issue. Yes, I know. We passed the bill, County Council passed the bill late January, early February, to allow people to appeal their property assessment another time. So it's like another bite at the apple, for lack of a better phrase, so that people who were dissatisfied that they appealed last year do have another opportunity to appeal again this year. And the deadline is April 1st. And that's all I have.
Any questions for our county representative? Thank you for coming. We really appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will, if I may just mention, I will be leaving during the course of your meeting, so there's no disrespect intended. I just like to be able to give my little toddler a bath and read to him before he falls asleep. So no disrespect intended.
We understand. Thank you. We have kids. Do we have a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes for February 12, 2013, February 26, 2013, February 26, 2013, all the committee meetings, and then March 5th, the pre-council meeting. Discussion on the motion? Any questions on it? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? No nays. Thank you. Reports, Treasurer Paul Cusick.
You should have in your package the general or the account funds. The account totals on one sheet. There's nothing out of the ordinary on any of them. The cash flow comparison sheet shows that we have a balance of $573,085.39. We're still in good stead at this point. We will be paying at the end of this month. We have to pay the bond issue. It's I think 400 and some thousand. So that will take that. And at that point, we start getting the money in from the real estate tax for 2013. So we should be in good shape. There's no anomalies. Everything's going according to the normal pattern. I did talk to the Jordan Tax Service concerning garbage bills and sewage. We do have a problem sometimes with the scheduling. When they get their bills, how long it takes them to get them out, and how long, because if you noticed in your home, you probably received your water bill and your sewer bill at the same time this month, and that's not usual. They said they had a sickness or something, and things were delayed. That's not good enough. We need our cash flow just like anybody else. So we're going to sit down with them, find out when they have their, how long it takes from them to get, when we send them the information, or they get it from Westwood Water, how long it takes them to put the bills out, and when we should expect their money. Because we've had to move money from one fund to the other to pay bills, pay our sewer to opposite. And we'll be setting that up. And also with the garbage bill. And our biggest concern with garbage bill is the delinquency. And they're working on it. They're very cooperative. I like Jordan Tax very much. That was find out, you know, how we're going to ensure we don't money.
Any questions for our treasurer? Any more questions? Thank you. Administration, Whitney?
I have a few items that came up between last week and this evening. The first is I spoke with the chief of the volunteer fire department about the residence bill, and there is a trip sheet, which is what the fire department calls when a member of the department does attend a call. The bill came from Highmark. There's an insurance processing snafu that must have occurred, and the bill is a valid bill to the resident. Generally, the insurance company is billed directly, but because of this particular resident's insurance, they received the bill, but they also received a check from the insurance company. So the chief and I are going to sit down again after this meeting tonight when I'm back in the office and work with this resident directly to try to have it resolved in a timely fashion. The next item that just came to my desk today is a request from Northgate School District for the high school baseball team to use the fields. I need that to be motioned tonight for their approval, or whatever you vote upon. But generally speaking, council does must approve the use of the field, so this will need to be acted upon tonight. Unfortunately, it just came in, so I was unable to put it in your packets and place it on the agenda. And finally, I have a thank you card from a resident on Ann Arbor Avenue that wanted to say thank you for the dog park, and she sent a card with dogs on it, and I thought it was something pretty lovely for you all to share. So your improvements are seen in the community and they're appreciated, and I wanted to pass along that good word. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Whitney?
First question. The resident who came to us, because you're talking about the resident who had an ambulance call.
Yes.
He told us that there was not fire personnel there. So are you saying the chief is saying there was?
Yes. They have, from my understanding, this trip sheet is only generated when they respond to a call. He looked into it. I haven't seen the trip sheet. That's why we're going to sit down and meet and try to get to the bottom of it. It seems to be at this juncture there's just a discrepancy between the bill and what was issued. Some insurance companies will handle it directly, meaning that benefit level for the ambulance to respond is automatically paid by the insurance company. In this case, with Highmark, whatever benefit plan this particular person happens to have, they generate the bill. They don't pay it automatically, so the resident gets paid the $100 and they get the bill from Highmark, and then it's supposed to be neutral or made whole at that point.
That's interesting.
It's not uncommon, believe it or not, to have the ambulance call be a separate process through insurance.
Okay. Any other questions for Whitney? Jan?
Yeah, I think we're going to need more details on, because the way I understood it was our first responders showed up, our volunteer company showed up, and then the ambulance showed up, and the residents didn't say if our first responders were there. So we need more detail on that. And then how did our first responders get the right to bill the citizens an extra $100? That's the kind of question I answered.
And how long has this been going on?
Should I ask the chief to attend the public safety meeting next month so that you all can ask him that instead of me trying to field questions that I don't know exactly exist? Okay. So I will schedule him for the public safety meeting for you all to ask these questions too.
But are we going to also get back to the resident who's already come to us?
That part I can do, but it seems like council has questions that I can't answer.
Yeah.
And rather than playing the middle person, I would rather just bring them directly to you all.
Okay. Thank you, Whitney. No other questions for him? Okay. Any council reports? Committee chair reports. reports. Finance, Chair of Finance, Sue Viscusi.
The first motion is I move to authorize the interim DAS to purchase video recording equipment at a cost not to exceed $1,000 from budget line item 409260.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been motion has been made and seconded to authorize the interim DAS to purchase video recording equipment at a cost not to exceed $1,000 from budget line item 409260. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilman Camello.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coder. I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please? Thank you. Councilwoman Heffley.
Aye.
Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Aye. See your next motion?
I move to authorize a transfer of $15,000 from the capital improvement fund to the general fund for the purchase of time clock software and equipment.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to authorize the transfer of $15,000 from the capital improvement fund to the general fund for the purchase of time clock software and equipment. Discussion on the motion? Mark?
I apologize, I wasn't here last week, I know you had discussion on it, but I would like to think about taking time a little bit on this and pricing a little more and finding out any other possibilities before spending all this money. I mean, so far you've been pretty penny conscientious, so I'm thinking, don't we have time that we could research this a little further and try to get something a little more cost effective?
Any other discussion on the motion? Sue?
One of the things we talked about as far as being cost effective is all of this information is going to go directly to Ann. It's not going to be paper or anything else. It's going to go directly to her computer, which will automatically present itself in such a way that she doesn't have to do as much paperwork, as it were. So it's going to save her time. It's going to be more efficient as far as her being able to see exactly what the times are, and it's going to bring you better documentation.
Lynn?
I was just wondering, the chief was going to research to see if there was a less expensive alternative. Did we hear from him?
We had both the chief and Ann looking into it, so that was requested at the pre-concert meeting. And I'm making an assumption that they're going to continue to do that even up to the time of purchase. I don't want to be throwing money away. Jane?
Yeah, that was exactly what was said at the last meeting. This is just actually the money from the capital improvement into the general fund. And yeah, it was discussed about buying 2 time blocks. So yeah, they're out there looking for them.
Well, the next motion is the purchase, but this is the transfer of fund monies. Jim?
Yeah, and if they come back with a lot less numbers, if we authorize this $15,000, and let's say $4,000 or $5,000 less, we would put the balance back in the capital fund.
That would need to be made by a separate motion, no, and we need to review.
Yeah, we can do that.
You can do that.
Sure.
So it wouldn't be, that would be the maximum is 15,000. If it was 10,000, and we can get a system that's going to work, you know.
Because some of them are going to be using computers too. Mayor?
Well, I think this whole thing originated because the chief was interested in streamlining the process with the police department with software for recording time. And I'm not sure I know what the compelling event was that caused the rest of the borough to jump on that, which the police will not be using the scanner. They'll be logging into their computers or computer in-house. Yeah, that possibility also exists for the rest of the borough. I believe there's enough extra computers possibly that we could avoid at least $6,000 of this expense by just allowing everybody to log in by computer. And it doesn't mean that you would for each person. It can be one.
Wait, Kathy, I'll get you after Jane. Jane and Mark, and then I'll give you the floor. Okay, hold on.
So, you know, that may be a cost savings right there, but what is the time savings for all this information going to Ann versus, you know, whether we have a paper form or have the department heads actually take that information and send it up? I mean, is it a huge amount of time? Is it a little bit of time? I mean, we'll discuss that. So I guess my three questions are, can we use individual computers in each department to save $6,000 on scanners? What was the compelling event that caused the whole thing? I mean, maybe it's just good timing. And my third question there that I just finished up.
Okay, I don't have all the answers to that, so that will be Ann and the chief, those are the people who have looked into it.
Well, don't you think it would be a good idea when we authorize $15,000, we have all the answers, and then vote on it?
Okay, thank you. Jane?
Yeah, could we change the motion to say not to exceed $15,000 and whatever stuff after they have done the research and which will be best to fit our needs with the rest back in capital improvement?
And that's not a problem. Who made the motion? Sue, do you want to amend the motion?
Okay. I have the motion to authorize a transfer of not more than $15,000 from the capital improvement fund to the general fund, and any for the purchase of time clock software and equipment, and any extra funds to be moved back to the capital improvement fund.
I'm just curious, how would you like to know how much to move over if it's not to exceed? You're not going to know that amount until you find out what you're going to purchase, and then there's not going to be any need to move anything back into capital improvements. Right?
So you're...
If there's a balance, you'll go back.
If you do a not to exceed, you don't need to transfer the money. You don't need that second part of the motion, because you already know what you're going to purchase.
No, we don't.
I know.
We're looking to see if we can cut costs.
But the motion on the floor right now is to authorize to transfer the money into the general fund so that you can make a purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not authorizing a specific amount. You're authorizing an amount not to exceed $15,000. That's what the amendment was.
Okay,
And
so
the reason for the amendment was so that you could research and find out something that might be a lesser cost. So you're not actually going to facilitate the transfer until you actually know what you're going to purchase, and then you'll know the amount that you're going to transfer, so there won't be anything left to transfer back.
So we're just adding not to exceed $15,000.
Not to exceed $15,000.
That's it. Okay. Do we need to take a vote on it?
Yeah, she amended her motion, so we need to.
Okay, so a motion has been made and seconded to transfer $15,000, not to exceed $15,000 for the capital improvement fund to the general fund for the purchase of the time clock software. Discussion? Mark?
Yeah, I know there's a good end result here, but aren't we kind of putting the cart before the horse? Shouldn't we just wait till we know what we're buying and then transfer that money? Instead of doing this, because it seems like there's almost like a reason to get this in there fast for some reason. I don't know, but if we could do it at any time in the future once we know that we have the...
But we're saying not to exceed $15,000, so that...
So right now you just want to allow a transfer when we decide...
That is this particular motion.
Okay, and so the very next motion though tells us to go ahead and spend the money.
We'll discuss it at that motion, but that motion hasn't been made. At this point, it's just a transfer of funds. Not to exceed, so if it's $14,000, then that's all that will be transferred over. Any other questions on the motion? Okay, all those in... Oh, Kathy, you had a question? Can she hear me?
Kathy?
Yeah. Did you have a question on the motion?
Are we looking at the 15,000?
Yes.
Okay, my question is, if we're moving it from capital improvement fund over to general fund, and I thought that capital improvement had to be projects that were more long-term. So that's one issue. The second issue, have we done any research on other towns who are doing it?
Okay, the research was done by the chief of police and Ann Moss. So
I want to know, are there any other towns doing this biometric type of...
we will have to get that. I don't know that answer. Does anyone know the answer?
So by boroughs, but if it is used in a corporate hall in hospitals.
Okay, did you hear her, Kathy?
No, sorry.
Okay, what it is, she doesn't, Sue Viscusi doesn't know if it's done in other boroughs. I know they use time clocks, okay, but it's used in the corporate world.
And in hospitals.
And hospitals.
I think you probably already know this, but I think she's trying to ask you is, can we get some input from another borough? It's a different situation in the corporate world. I know it's similar, but to see if they're pleased with the system or whatever it may be, if they're glitchy. So I think that's the basis of what she's asking. We should do that. If we can find anyone who's using this.
So we can have, and I'm assuming they've done all that because they have spent a lot of time on it, so. But let's just double check.
The one thing I would suggest, for whatever it's worth, just given the amount of the expenditure, it might be worthwhile to solicit a more competitive request for proposals or bid process to make sure, finding time clocks online is well and good, but when you ask for companies to be competitive through the process, you might find that $15,000 with a local company can be reduced significantly, because I do believe that one of the companies, at least that they're looking at, is out of state. There's Paychecks in Robinson and ADP payroll in Robinson as well that can provide these types of services.
Well, just because, we have to have 3 competitive bids because it's over $10,000.
Right, but
okay, so that process is going to be done anyway.
Well, it sounds like for me from how this has evolved between the committee meetings that maybe a formalized bid has not been developed. I haven't been involved with it, but I would really encourage you all to go through the competitive bidding process as opposed to finding and researching these types of things online. You'll find that your cost may reduce substantially given,
Okay, well, right now, we're talking just about the transfer of funds. We can get into that whenever we talk about the purchase, because we're just transferring funds. So, Mark?
I'm just going to say no to this transfer of funds, because we don't usually do this anyway. I don't understand the rush to transfer when we're still researching. So that's my stand on it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays?
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Camello.
Nay.
Councilwoman Coder.
Nay.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling.
Nay.
Councilman Scisciani. Councilwoman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi. Councilwoman Braunlich. President Woshner.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next motion?
Okay, this is one where we move to authorize the purchase of the time clock software. Do we want to?
Let's do it, then we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Because I think there's some good points you brought up. So.
Okay. I'm going to authorize the purchase of time clock software and an amount not to exceed $15,000 for the administrative, police, public works, library, and recreation staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to authorize the purchase of time clock software in an amount not to exceed $15,000 for the administrative, police, public works, library, and recreation staff. Discussion on the motion. No discussion?
Yes.
Mark?
I see no point in this. That if there's no, if we're going to do what we said, we should be waiting until we do that. So I don't know why there would be any rush to do this motion right now. Or further research. We have to be responsible.
And they have to do 3 bids. So really, is this premature to actually be purchasing it? Should we wait to get the 3 bids? Jane?
Do you want to make a motion to put it out to bids?
A request for proposals.
May I make another suggestion?
What?
If I can put together a package, a bid package for you all, we'll call it a bid or proposal package, in time for the committee meetings. If you authorize me to put that together and place it out for bid, I can do those 2 actions simultaneously without really losing a lot of the groundwork that you all have put together. over the course of the last few weeks, but to keep everything moving. So to put together, understanding what your desires are, and putting together a couple different package options to get some pricing back. At least if the spirit of what you're trying to work towards won't be lost.
The only thing is, I don't like the word bid, because a bid, to me is something that you get in, it's closed, and I think maybe a request for a proposal or something like that, if we could do that, I think that's a good option. So do we have, well, we still have this motion on here, so I guess first we have to vote this down, and then we can, talk about authorizing the DAS to place out a request for proposal.
She was asking the question.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to vote on to actually purchase it. Jane?
Yeah, so she'll call around and get 3 different quotes, or 2 different quotes, and bring them to us.
Either Whitney or the chief or Ann, all of them looks like him.
They had already done with the company they hired. So.
Did they actually do multiple?
Well, I don't know, they didn't. See, that's the problem too. Even if you don't go with the other 2 companies, you have to at least make the effort, given the amount of the expenditure.
I thought they had done that.
No, they haven't.
So one, they didn't want to know what to do with the chief's software, because the chief's had special software.
There was another one. I know there was another one.
There's no record right now of the fact that they haven't solicited it. Even if they call in and they have to get something back through fax, or otherwise they're not going through the competitive process. Okay. So I'm just trying to keep you all above board. If that's the company that they like, that's great, but they have to go to other companies and at least get a proposal.
Would it be easier just to withdraw a motion?
You can do it, or it's on the floor if you want to do it down, you can do that.
Who made the motion? Would you like to withdraw the motion?
I would like to withdraw the last motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then do we have a motion to authorize the DAS to place out a request for proposals for time clock software for administrative, police, public works, library, and recreation staff?
Okay. I move to authorize the Interim DAS to put out an RFP for the time clock software for the administrative, police, public works, library, and recreation staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion on the motion? Do we need an end date on it to solicit the proposals? Any by a certain date? Good point. Can we add that?
You should have it on committee.
Well, would it automatically go to the committee, public safety?
What I was thinking of doing, for anybody that's curious, is putting together sort of a template, faxing it to the companies that they prefer, some local companies, and asking them to respond back. And then you all will have a choice. Obviously, it needs to integrate with QuickBooks in order to facilitate the payroll processing. There needs to be some options for the types of scanners. And that's essentially, from my understanding of this entire process, what you are all looking to have happen. So,
Okay, but what date
I
are you
would
going
think
to
that I would want them back for the week that the packets go out. So
what is that date?
I
do
don't
not
have a calendar, but I
said the 26th.
So it would be due the Friday before the 26th. I believe that's the 20th. Is that the 22nd?
Which is Good Friday.
Okay. Probably the 21st.
Okay.
And I can put that together. That's more than enough time for these companies to respond.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? And do we have to do a vote on that one since it's, okay. And there were no nays?
Next motion is I move to approve the February 2013 invoice from Civil and Environmental Consultants for CD 37.2.2.5 in the amount of $3,920 for the Business District Streetscape Design Project administered by the Quaker Valley Council of Governments.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve February 2013 invoice from Civil and Environmental Consultants for CD 37-2.25 in the amount of $3,920 for Business District Streetscape Design Project administered by the Quaker Valley Council of Governments. Discussion on the motion? Okay, no discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coda.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley.
Aye.
Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Councilman Camello.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Aye. Okay, any other questions for our Chair of Finance, Sue? Thank you, Sue. And Parks and Recreation, Jim Scisciani.
I move to approve the sidewalk sale for the classic car cruise on May 19, 2013. Direct the Public Works Department to provide barricades for the event for Action 312.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the sidewalk sale for the classic car cruise May 19, 2013, and to direct the Public Works Department to provide barricades for the event. Discussion on the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Next motion. Chair of
Move to approve the use of the Jim Porch Gazebo on Friday, June 21st, 2013, from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. for the Enjoy Bellevue Summer Solstice for Action 312. It's actually 6.
Do we have a second? A motion has been made and seconded to approve the use of the Jim Porch Gazebo on Friday, June 21st, 2013, from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock for the Enjoy Bellevue Summer Solstice. Discussion on the motion. Well, he had said 4, so I repeated 4. Mayor?
Actually, it's 6 to 9.
Okay, we're correcting it to 6. Okay.
Is the rest of the park being used for the summer solstice?
Not that I know of.
Well, the gazebo doesn't have to be reserved by motion, by council, that's just done as a reservation, as if it's a birthday party. So I guess my question is, if she's going to have the event beyond the gazebo at the park, why wouldn't we authorize for use of the park and have the gazebo as part of that?
Well, I mean, when you use the gazebo, I mean, you are around the gazebo.
Right, but if I want to have a birthday party up there, I don't come to council and ask for the gazebo. I do it by reservation. I'm assuming that it's going to be bigger than the gazebo, and that she'll be using part of the park.
She did give us a recap of
So
what was all involved, and I
it
don't
would make more sense if she was requesting use of the park, inclusive of the gazebo. That way we're not doing 2 and 3 motions. This motion here is, we don't have to.
Does anyone have that sheet from,
No, I don't. I put what she specified in her request. The specifics are found in the motion, so I don't
You
know.
can change the motion to include the park and then you can reserve the gazebo.
I think that's a very good idea. I think that's what
Change
she
that
did.
motion for the use of the park for that purpose, and she can reserve the gazebo for that day.
Do we have a second on the amendment?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? And we don't need to take a vote on that. No nays? Next motion.
Move to approve the use of the municipal parking lot on Saturday, June 21st, 2013, to the Enjoy Bellevue Summer Solstice Artisan Market for Action 312.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the use of the municipal parking lot on Saturday, June 21st, 2013 for the Enjoy Bellevue Summer Solstice Artisan Market. Discussion on the motion? Mike?
Just one of the dates is wrong. This Friday is the 21st and Saturday is the 21st.
So we're going to correct that to be the 22nd?
22nd.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, no nays? Motion passes.
Motion to approve the 2013 fee schedule for the Bellevue Pool with no increase in rates over 2012 for Action 312.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the 2013 fee schedule for the Bellevue Pool with no increase in rates over 2012. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Councilman Camello.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coder.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Aye. Any other questions for the Chair of Parks and Rec?
I have one more motion.
Okay.
This is the one that he was describing. I want to make a motion for Northgate School to schedule use of the ball field. They adjust their schedule with whatever they play. I want to make a motion that they can use the ball field with their schedule.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to permit the Northgate High School baseball team to schedule use of the ball field at Memorial Park. Okay, all those, and discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? No nays. Any other questions for our chair? Mayor?
With the Enjoy Bellevue and the car cruise, I would like the committee to continue a dialogue with the Enjoy Bellevue group because it's a well-attended event, and there's the last 2 years have been a problem with overflow of garbage after the event. That garbage may not be picked up until the next business day, and that tends to be a bit of a problem. So I don't know if there's some way that can be corrected without incurring an exorbitant amount of overtime. Because traditionally the barriers are dropped off during the week as a normal part of a business day. And then Sunday the car cruise happens. And when it's over, I mean there's garbage spilling into the street from the waste can. There's not adequate amount of receptacles. And I don't know if maybe the committee can ask Enjoy Bellevue to maybe get some cardboard waste cans from Waste Management or one of the other groups with supply of garbage bags so they can facilitate having those on Lincoln Avenue so that when Monday when the road is back on duty, when they pick up the garbage on the street, the trash cans.
We don't have a DPW on duty during the car cruise?
I don't know.
Do you?
That's a good point, George. Bring that up.
Yeah.
You might also be with my volunteer organization that will, like a Boy Scout trip or something like that, that will have to be, so.
Yeah, this is something probably that, facilitate happening.
Can you mention this to Enjoy Bellevue? That this is a problem, they may not be aware of it. Okay, any other questions for Parks and Rec? I want to ask, are we going to have the same opening date as last year, opening on Memorial Day? Do we have to vote on that?
We did last year.
We did last year. Do we have to vote on it for this year? Because I know that Kathy downstairs, people are starting to call and, talking about pool parties and reservations for the, what are those called, the pavilions.
We make a motion now, if you want, or we can do it, she's already given inquiries, we should do it.
What do we need, a motion?
Make a motion to
Start
this full schedule on Memorial Day.
Now, what they did last year, it was Memorial Day weekend, and then during it, they didn't have another, it was only weekends until the kids were out of school. And then they went during the week. Is that okay? Is there a second? Do I really have to repeat that? So we know that it'll start Memorial Day weekend, and it'll be on the weekends until the kids are out of school, in Northgate School, and then we'll be having pool schedule during the week. And with the same hours as last year. We've had, discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Okay, motion passes. Any other questions for Parks and Recreation? Public Safety, Jane Braunlich.
Yeah, I have two motions, well, one maybe and a half. I'd like to move to approve the road closing on Sunday, May 19th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. from Lincoln to Fremont for the park.
What about Florence?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Florence. Oh, Avenue, Florence Avenue.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve the road closure on Sunday, May 19th from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. on Lincoln Avenue between Fremont Avenue and Florence Avenue for the Enjoy Bellevue Classic Car Cruise. Discussion on the motion? Jim?
You've got traffic from Assumption Church for 12 o'clock mass, going to and from.
I think she's already talked to the pastor and has made arrangements for that. In fact, I know she has.
Because he hasn't said anything to me. I'll ask him about it.
I was told that she's already talked to them and made arrangements. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Any nays? Motion passes. Next motion?
Okay, this next motion is to designate the loading zone, but I had thought we was going to have to, if you look at the ordinance, did we have to change the ordinance to do that loading zone? Or just
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I think we do have to draft an ordinance to designate it even a loading zone, I think, for proper signage as well. So
Yeah, so.
you may want to just hold off on that motion.
Yeah, and have the solicitor look into the street ordinance so we can have this fixed. And maybe in the meantime, give the Lutheran services a couple of those police no parking bags to use for the front, so that way they're following. They want some on the side too, so if we could do that, so I would make a motion for that.
Do we? Do we have to make a motion because temporarily put something there so that they do that? No. So she was talking about maybe putting some sort of indicator.
On a main drag.
Are you doing the temporary sign?
Just bags over the meters. Until we. Okay. Okay. But we don't have to take a motion for that. We can just designate that.
You're going to make it no parking?
No, just. We have special bags. We have these little bags for over meters. And these people are used just at the discretion does it.
So, yeah, police will just do that.
We can just.
Yeah, but this is on North Howard. There aren't any.
We're not talking about North Howard now.
It's for Lincoln, 2 spaces on Lincoln. And then we're also going to do 2 spaces on North Howard. But right now, we're just talking about Lincoln.
Okay. So we don't have to do anything but direct mapping.
You're going to correct that. Police chief back.
Okay, now the mayor was shaking his head, so.
Well, we were going through this whole thing about making a motion, you don't have to, we're just going to say what the solicitor did. Just a matter of police having.
Yes, police direction.
Yes, situation. My only caution would be to find out what type of vehicle they're going to be planning on parking on Lincoln Avenue, because I've been past that area a few times, and there was a large box-back van, which was parked directly in front of, in one of the spaces, which is directly in front of the crosswalk, where the children facilitate crossing Lincoln Avenue. And it is a line of sight issue, even with the crossing guard there. So I don't know if that, find out what kind of vehicle it would be on a regular basis so you think about this.
Is this something the chief can do? Because he knows better, where be a good, safe
We're in
area?
communication with them.
Well, I think Mr. Nusser said it's more the volunteers who are coming up to park there. So it's just regular, we can check the regular trucks or SUVs. It's not the actual loading truck. It's just for them to take the meals out of the kitchen.
Right, but the problem is the loading truck has been there in the past. So that is a problem to begin with. I don't know who approached you on this.
Mr. Nusser can tell us public safety needs the toys. Hold on a second.
Okay, so at this point, we'll do the temporary until we can write up the ordinance. Okay. And any other questions for public safety?
How is this thing going to follow the type of vehicles?
I thought the chief would do that. I mean, is that something that, I just made that assumption that the chief, because he knows better about the safety factor and where we're going to be, you know, he can ask what kind of cars, and instead of somebody who doesn't know anything go over there and talk and say, oh, well, we got to check with the chief.
Well,
Is that acceptable?
the chief makes sense, but to me, that's why I'm asking, that's all.
That you
The chief
want-
makes sense.
Is that okay?
So do we want to ask Whitney to follow up with the chief and just clarify that issue?
Could you do that? Okay, thank you. Any other questions? What about street cleaning? Because we're doing Monday through Friday, but what about when they have to street clean? I don't know when the street clean, you know, is it the morning or the afternoon in that area?
I had thought that was, I thought that was afternoon. But
Is that afternoon?
I would
Okay.
because I thought that's what the chief said, but that wasn't real.
Okay, if you can just check on that. Okay, any other questions for public safety? Mayor?
I apologize. Second is, so the other loading zones, why 4 hours, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 hours for loading? And I'm just thinking this out because if it's not parking, they can park in the church parking lot. Loading should only be for a brief period of time. When you think of that, you said about street sweeping.
Jane?
Yeah, from what I'm understanding is that Lutheran Services took over the north side's deliveries, and it's people that are going to be coming and going, packing up their stuff and delivering stuff throughout the area. So it'll probably be between 8 in the morning till noon, where people can get around it. Because everybody just don't come and I load up their car, and I'm doing just this side, and they'll be coming at different times. They don't come all 8 o'clock. Everybody's not in and out within a half hour.
Well, they were within an hour. I mean, they don't start at 8 in the morning to deliver lunch and dinner. You know, they usually start picking bills by 11 o'clock. So I guess my question is, do they actually need these 4 hours? Is it going to impede other people's parking? I don't know. I think that needs to be asked, the question. I don't say we shouldn't do it. It's a good idea.
I agree. Mark?
Yeah, I understand both sides. I've seen signs, I think, where it's a 4-hour opening window, but yet one particular vehicle can only be there X amount of time. Isn't that one way? What's that?
We don't have the means to monitor that.
Well, yeah. Nor do we have the means, the same means we have to monitor the 4-hour period. It's a good question. I'm not saying it.
At our committee meeting, the chief kind of suggested a little bit of a cushion so that people, it would be locked off a little earlier and a little later probably than what they needed.
Okay, so the chief is aware of the temporary meeting. Okay, okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Jane. Public Works, Jim Viscusi, Chair.
I have one motion. I move to approve the advertising of part-time seasonal public works positions at a cost not to exceed $500 from budget line item 430-341 for action 3/12/13.
Do we have a second? A motion has been made and seconded to approve the advertising of part-time seasonal public works positions at a cost not to exceed $500 from budget line 430-341. Discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilman Camello. Councilwoman Woshner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley. President Woshner.
Aye. Okay, are there any special committee reports? Okay. Resolutions. Part-time pool manager, do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 313, authorizing the hire of Maureen Grant for the 2012 part-time pool manager.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 0313, authorizing and directing the hiring of Maureen Grant at her 2012 part-time pool manager salary for the 2013 recreation season. Discussion on the motion? Was there anything about a increase in her pay in here at all? Kim, do you know that? Because everyone else got, is it 3%, 2.5%? Are we able
The resolution
to?
still says 8,000. Right.
What?
The resolution still says 8,000.
Are we able to change that? There's no money to be able to do that?
Amend the motion to add 3%.
Do we have a second to amend the motion? Yes, ma'am.
No, what was the second? That's what was the second.
Who seconded it? Do we have a second?
Second.
It's not a time. Okay. Discussion on the motion? Mayor?
When you said 3%, you said other people, you talking about all employees that were wrong.
Some of these employees, so some were what, 2.5, there were 3, and I mean, her wage was low last year anyway.
Yeah, I just know, I
And she's done that.
I know she's part-time, 3 months, I don't know that we should necessarily give an equal amount of raise. I mean, I know it's only $240, but, it's a 3-month employee.
But her
You
wage is
give a 3% raise to your son-in-law?
But we got her under market, and she's done a bang-up job.
Well, I guess the question is, are we going to give 3% all the time?
Only if there's a motion and a second, and,
And what was the change in the $240?
I can't hear you, Jane.
I'm sorry, $240 would be the change.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I know your point, George, but I think it's probably in this case, my opinion is she did such a great job at under budget that, I'm not under budget, I'll say, at a good price. It's probably just bringing it a little closer. And it's a management position versus the labor position. I'm not saying one deserves more than the other, but it's a different position to have that.
Well, I guess my question is, we profess to want to pinch every penny out of it, except, and I'm not saying this instance, except other projects that we all, are pet projects for everybody else, whether it be a time block, whether it be trees, whether it be anything, we all have it. So we're not really pinching pennies on every aspect that we can. And it's a 3-month employee, and everybody says, well, she's under, like, high pay. So, we compare this to everybody else in the marketplace, I don't know. I just, we gave our full-time employees 3%. We're not raising their pool rates. We're trying to contain the cost. I don't know, I just don't see where it's necessary. Maybe it's wonderfully symbolic, but I don't think it's necessary.
Any other discussion?
Is it possible you can just discuss this in finance first, and maybe there's another alternative, perhaps just an example, if she causes the pool to come under this X amount of budget, that she gets a little bonus like that or something like that?
Jane?
We had an employee that we did that once with, and it's really hard to track, what are you really going to, go through the whole budget and see exactly. We already knew that she had done an excellent job bringing our pool costs way down. And I really don't appreciate our employees being called pet projects. So I'd like to make a motion for you, raise the $8,240 for it.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to increase the pay. Yeah, there is a motion on the floor. I was thinking of it being an amendment, though.
Okay.
Amending the motion.
We're still in discussion, but.
We'll still discuss it. Okay, so I'm seeing it as, do I need to get the eyes on this? Okay. Still, we're in discussion phase. Okay, Mayor?
Well, and I was going to comment on what Mr. Helbling had to say. I would not be in favor of making a bonus system on performance money because it would be so weather related. And I'm really sorry I offended Mrs. Braunlich with the word pet project. I said it was not including this. So you must be certain.
Okay, any other discussion? Jim?
We need an amendment then?
No, we did. We amended it. So now we're going to, the discussion's over. We're going to vote on it. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilman Camello.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coder. Councilwoman Coder. She's not on the list. I apologize. Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Heffley. President Woshner.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Do we have a motion for the second resolution?
I'd like to make a motion for resolution 414, municipal sharing cost portion of Ohio River Blvd. East Haven project with Penndot, not to exceed $2,709.70.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 0414, authorizing the municipal share cost portion of the Ohio River Blvd. Repaving project through the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation not to exceed $2,790.70. Discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Viscusi. Aye. Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilman Camello.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling. Councilwoman Scisciani. President Woshner.
Aye. Okay, ordinances, do we have someone just to bring up the first reading on the pawn shop ordinance?
I'd like to bring up the first reading for the pawn shop ordinance.
Okay. Do we have to read that? Do we have to read it when we bring it up?
You should do a motion to introduce it. It's an unofficial first reading.
No, not the way our ordinance. Yeah, we can do it with our ordinance. It just has to be mentioned. Yeah, it just has to be mentioned. Okay, so we introduced an ordinance which shall establish regulations and restrictions on pawn shops or secondhand shop and provide fines and penalties for violations. Okay, on the large vehicle ordinance, do we have someone to bring that up? Okay, so we will introduce an ordinance which shall establish regulations and restrictions on the operations and parking of large motor vehicles and provide fines and penalties for violations. The next one?
Okay, I actually have two here. That they have the fire.
No, there's just
International Fire. But I have the code.
Yeah, there should be one for property in this code as well.
Yeah, I have the property agreement one. I don't have the fire one.
okay, so we just have to put the property maintenance code.
It's the same as the yeah, it's the property maintenance code.
Okay.
It's the 2012 property maintenance code. I know the code. I met just on the property maintenance code and the fire, international fire code. I met with our fire marshal and the code enforcement, and these were drafted. You know, they want these versions to be in place.
Can we do it all in the same motion?
If you do it, if that's how you do it for your first visit, because you're not passing it.
Are they going to be in the same ordinance, or are they going to be two separate?
No, two separate ordinances.
Okay, we'll have to do two separate introductions. Okay, can we do the first one on the International Fire Code? Okay, we have, we're introducing an ordinance which shall establish and enact the 2012 International Fire Code and provide fines and penalties for violations thereof. Okay, can we do it now with the same wording except for the 2012 property maintenance?
Yep.
Okay, we are introducing, okay, wait a minute. We're introducing an ordinance which shall establish and enact the 2012 version of the property maintenance code and provide fines and penalties for violations thereof. Okay, and then the next one. Anyone going to bring that one up? Okay. That one dies. Okay, any old business? Old business?
You know, I couldn't be here last week, so I'm confused about something, so I'm hoping you can tell me. The streetscape, the committees, the various committees, so many people worked on that. So many people came, you know, to agreement on compromise and worked on that. And when it came to the bump outs, when we got here, I guess they were just wiped out by some people, just disregarding that committee's recommendations whatsoever. I don't understand that. And again, let me say a couple more things. You probably heard this already, but again, a compromise was made, all these meetings, all this streetscape, various minds working together, including professionals. The second part was, there's a major issue regarding funding with these bump outs and green spaces. That's very important to funding and future funding. And it was explained also that these bump outs could still be modified or repositioned or worked on as phases go on. So why did we eliminate that? Or why did just some people eliminate them, disregarding completely what all the recommendations came from, which is why we have all those committees and professionals and all this thing. Why did we feel that just a few people thought, forget what everybody said, we don't want it? I just need an explanation.
Okay, well, a few people was the majority of council, okay?
At that time.
At that time.
It's still a few people. Okay.
It's the majority of council.
In relation to having committees and meetings and people that all study this, it's a small portion of people. But go ahead, I understand.
Okay, I mean, I can tell, okay, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, we have been telling the people that have been doing the design process that, you know, we need to look at the bump outs because, number one, there's traffic flow issues. Number two, we're not against having the beautification process done, but we are against having problems like the traffic flow issues, making sure that it's safe, that all the fire trucks and all the other delivery trucks can get through to where they need to go without impeding traffic. My prime example is I'm sitting up by the bank up by North Star, across from Coons, and watching an 18-wheeler that was going to go into Coons try and make that curve. And I'm thinking to myself, it needed every bit of that space to make that curve without getting into the next lane, the oncoming lane, to go and get into Coons. So I'm thinking, if you put that bump out 7 feet out, which is what the plan was, that truck's going to have to go into the oncoming lane and tie up traffic to be able to get into Coons. So, you know, when you talk about, gee, the bump outs would be great and they're wonderful and all that, and I'm not saying that they're not a great thing for someplace else, but I just don't think they're wise here. And also, we also ran into a problem with drainage. A lot of the bump outs were around the drainage areas. And we found out also from other communities that have the bump outs, when we talk to different communities, that they're having problems with drainage issues because of the bump outs. The bump outs are causing the water to collect in certain areas in front of the bump outs where the drainage is over on the other side. So, you know, there's problems with that too. And we did at the last walkthrough discuss that with Jack when we went through there, and he brought it up. You know, there's drainage things here, and he said he'd have to take that back because that was a big problem. So when we look at this stuff, there's not just, gee, we want it to be beautiful, we want it to be functional, we want it to be safe, and we want to make sure that, you know, we're looking at all angles at this, and we're coming up with the angles that this ain't working. And I'm just, I look at it and I see there's some places that we can maybe push out a little bit. It's not going to impede traffic because we can take areas of the wider sidewalks and, you know, maybe take some footage from the sidewalk and maybe some areas that may not be affected by traffic and put the benches and, you know, things there. But, you know, when you look at the overall thing, I think there's been thought put into it as far as the beautification. I think the functionality issue has not been totally addressed.
Any other questions? I can tell you, I don't believe that they were listening because I had brought it up from the very beginning. I did talk to a community that had the bump outs in the 80s and the 90s, and the people in the town hate them. Negotiating them around them are a problem. And when they want to look at redoing their streetscape, that's one of the things that they want to eliminate. And problem for removal snow, that kind of thing. So from past experience, at least with another community, it has not been a popular item.
Well, you're done.
I'm done.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. And I understand some of that, I do. But one, you were saying they're not listening, but who did you want them to listen to? That's the part. There was a whole bunch of people to listen to. But they didn't listen to these consoles, but they listened to the majority of voices that wanted these things. Now, having said that, the drainage issue, I'm pretty sure that was well addressed. Just to clear up a couple things. Well addressed, actually, it was a benefit in these areas. After that was brought up, I think it was very specified by Brad when I was at the meeting, and he was discussing me later after the meeting too, that the last meeting, the only meeting I came to, but that was a real benefit to have that actually catch water and many things. Connie could tell you better than I could. So that issue was, you know, pretty much taken care of, and maybe you didn't know that part. But the thing is that you took them all out, when it might have been a better thing to do to just say that with modification of bump outs, with future modification of bump outs, because we just eliminated everything. And again, those reasons I just told you, that yes, beautification, I can understand your Coons concern, that makes, sense, and I'd want to study that and understand that. And some of the other concerns you said, I do that. But again, who are they supposed to listen to? And B, we wipe them off, you wipe them off. And they're a big part of the future funding, part of the green part of it, the whole part. And it also looks bad to the county, whoever's funding us, that we just had a committee tell us all this stuff and we just disregarded it. We just took it out. So I think there was a better way to do that without just eliminating everything. And that's where I stand.
My part of this is, I want what's best for Bellevue, not what's best for the county, not what's best for, any particular person or group of people. I want what's best for Bellevue. And when I look at this whole thing, maybe I see it with different eyes, but I'm looking at it where there's problems. And, I don't want to throw money into something that we're going to be taking out later like these other communities are. You talk about, yeah, we're penny pinching, but this is not penny pinching. This is thousands and thousands of dollars pinching. We're looking at something that may not be functional for this borough. I'm looking at something more that would be more functional for our borough than bump outs. So, I'm looking at maybe, looking at more doing sidewalks and conduits and, looking at maybe we can get rid of some of the telephone poles, those kind of things. Now, getting rid of the telephone poles would make it a whole lot more beautiful in Bellevue than a couple of bump outs. So, I look at it that way.
Well, thank you.
I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to badmouth the people that have worked on this. I'm just saying that, you know, they've worked on it from their perspective, and I look at it from my perspective, and that's what I see.
Jane?
Yeah, and actually, Sue, I've said everything I was going to say. Because on 100% of this project, the council only decided about 10% that they weren't happy with. So, you know, out of the 100% was the 10% beautification part of this project the council wasn't happy with. We wanted to look more to take down telephone poles and things like that. So, you know, we're saying that, you know, we disregard the whole project we did, we come close, because there were a lot more aspects to this project, and we only took up about 10%.
Okay.
I'm not saying, again, I understand. I'm not saying what's best for the county. I'm saying what's best for us with the county, to work with the county, as far as, you know, following a system and not. We don't have to follow and do what everyone says. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we set up the system, we set up committees, we set up recommendations, we get, you know, professionals to say that this is good and it will work. And we were told that it will work. You know, and then we were also told that we could modify these things as time goes on. So that's the 2 points that are important. No one was saying they're set in stone, but you just, well, my point is you eliminated all those. And you know the benefits of them versus the problem with them you mentioned. The other part is that we claim and we want this to be a walking town. So some of these are beneficial to people who may not realize at this moment, but to a walking community, that is more our priority. I'm not saying that we want to block traffic up and ruin traffic, I'm just saying that if we're a walking community, then let's emphasize that in a few spots at least, you know, and then go with that. And then if the traffic has already been deemed to move along fine and do all that by experts that study this, except for, you know, if we have to modify something too, that people bring it up and saying, hey, look, here's a problem you missed or something like that, but you had the chance to do that. And what I'm saying, I don't think it's wise to eliminate all of these.
Okay, Sue?
Okay.
When
When
I'm
I'm
walking
walking
down
down the street and I'm talking to, let's say, you know, one of the people that were on the committee, and they're stopping at a bus stop where they're supposed to put a bump out. My question is, where is the bus supposed to sit to get the people onto the bus? Because they can't pull up to the bump out. They have to go into auto lane of traffic and have the people move from there into the bus. Now, you know, maybe that's not a big deal, I don't know, but it causes some it can cause some traffic problems. So, you know, I look at things like that. I look at like big delivery trucks that go in and out of here and, you know, trying to get around the bump outs and, you know, impeding traffic. You know, I bring these things up when we're going through the walkthrough, and all I get is like, okay, but nothing is ever, there's never any feedback as far as, you know, what they're going to do about those areas. And I'm looking at, you know, there are things that have not been looked at. There has not a different perspective put on this, where, you know, when we talk about this as a walking community, this isn't just a walking community. This is a driving through Bellevue community. So when you talk about, you know, putting these bump outs on, you better well look at the traffic flow. You know, and when I have to point out that, yes, there's a bus stop here, and if you put out a bump out that's this big in front of the bus, you know, yeah, that's going to cause a problem. So if I'm the one who has to point that out to these people, then, you know, I'm wondering what's going through their head and what perspective they're using. If they're looking at an overall perspective of the town and not just their project.
Okay, any other old business?
Well, I just had a question. You mentioned telephone poles. Are they able to eliminate any of them along there?
That's something that they're looking at through the BDAC, where we do
It's not part of this.
But you said that you were going to be talking to Duquesne Light, that's why.
Oh, so this would be relocating lines underground versus just eliminating?
Right.
Not necessarily. It's more complex than that.
Okay, any other old business? Jim?
I just want to bring up about on the DPW, the roof building by the pole.
Okay.
They, you know, they're talking about replacing, this neighborhood is that under our insurance? Would insurance cover any part of that, rather than just put out?
Not for normal wear and tear. What wear and tear is not covered. I mean, what was the storm? What was the cause of the problem?
Did anybody ask? To find out, just to get an answer.
I don't think that's going to be covered.
I mean, it has to be, you have to know what the cause is. Then once the cause is, then you look at the policy and you see if it's a covered peril. But, they're saying it's an older roof, so if it's an older roof, it's probably just normal wear and tear.
You don't know for sure. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we can ask. But then, we would have to know the date of the storm or whatever caused the problem.
Well, just damage.
Okay.
If it's normal wear and tear, some changes in the first damage, and it's not caused just by normal, you want to stop it all weeks.
Okay. Can you check on that?
They may be able to insure it with a small so it was solid. Thank you.
Any other new business? Jim?
Okay, I think may have touched on this in committee, but I feel it's very important. Around the Doughboy, the flagpole, and the library itself, last year during Memorial Day ceremony and Veterans Day, there was no flowers on them. I think we got 2 plastic flagpoles. I'd like to maybe make this a motion because we have to prepare the ground. I don't think much has been done, so we would have to prepare the ground and plant flowers. I did talk to Ed Dietz. He'll give us the cost, the flowers that we would need. But I'd like to make a motion, if I could, not to exceed $500 to use for this purpose. Now, the reason I'm doing this now is because Earth Day is April 20, and our meetings to approve this would be long after. So I'd like to introduce a motion, if I could, that we allow up to $500 for this purpose.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to pay for flowers not to exceed $500 for around the Doughboy. Discussion on the motion? I know what you're going to say, go ahead. What?
No, you said you were going to say something.
I'm the CM Sokol Fund. That's what that was for. I thought that's what you were going to bring up. You said that.
And the district, who's installing the flowers?
There'll be volunteers doing it. Last year, for the past several years, we improved the view. We had the Knights of Columbus do the parking lots, and we have an experienced person, and I was going to talk with Dan Lynch and see if he may give us any.
But where's the CM Sokol Fund? I know there's money in there, and that was one of the
The
things.
Sam Sokol Fund was primarily for the Dogo.
No, it was for, I thought, no, it was for the flowers, because they even did the wall with the CM Sokol Fund.
Well, that's possible. We can use part of that, but we don't have much time.
Okay, well, wherever we can, okay.
In other words, I've asked up to $500 if we can use some of the Sam Sokol Fund for that, then we just simply use less of the $500.
Okay.
I always thought the civil fund was exclusively for the rehab and maintenance of the Doughboy.
That's what I thought too, George.
Okay. I thought it was.
I could be wrong with that.
Well, we fixed the wall with the CM Sokol Fund. We did. We did. Because our name. Mark.
Aren't there organizations that donate flowers, donate completely free flowers coming out now?
Well, the garden club used to do that, and they've since kind of aged and disbanded. So you used to do that a few years ago.
I'm looking at an area to try to get a sizable donation, but I'm not going to say that I can do it. I was fortunate on the 4th of July last year, and I think everyone realized we had quite a savings by doing it.
Would the Knights be willing to donate part of the money?
I can't answer that at this time for Monday night.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilman
agenda for free council. I don't have a temporary council agenda by introduction of ordinance for the establishment of the ordinance which was ratified and established certain benefits for administrative employees. Did we decide we weren't doing that?
It was introduced and no one introduced it, so it died. It was.
Well, before we proceed on that, is there anybody here that's willing to introduce that? Because the majority of council voted that this would be a good thing. So just to skip over, we, my statement, the person that is willing to introduce it. Yes.
I'm willing to
Well,
make that.
I asked, it wasn't like.
No, I understand. If I didn't catch it tonight, that's why I asked the question.
I'd like to make that motion to introduce that ordinance to council.
Okay. Where the heck was it on the agenda? It's on. Oh, there it is, employee benefits. So there was an introduction, an ordinance shall ratify and establish certain benefits for administrative employees. Okay. Any other new business? Okay. Are there any visitors who wish to speak? If you could step up to the podium, state your name and address, sign the register, and you have 2 minutes.
I'm Frank Camello. I just want to make it really, really clear here, because I have heard a great deal of information when we started talking about the streetscape. We sat down in a meeting, 4 council members were present, members of the BDAC were present. We went through that streetscape, and I made you do it for 2 hours. We went bump out by bump out by bump out, and we eliminated every single bump out that was at a bus stop. We eliminated every single bump out that affected a turn radius. We basically left bump outs at crosswalks. Now, under state law, you are required to have 20 feet between your crosswalk and the end of the first parked vehicle. So there's a 20-foot area there, the width of a vehicle parking space, that you can't do a damn thing with. What we suggested is that you bump out the curb and those areas and those crosswalks, plant flowers, have benches, have provisions for bikes, plus the infrastructure now of these bump outs is made to comply with your stormwater management plans. You can create a situation where you're actually feeding water into the other trees and greenery along the street. And you cannot compare the construction of bump outs from 20, 30 years ago with what they are doing now with green infrastructure. I wanted a consensus so that all views were represented in this streetscape. We walked out of that meeting with what I believe was a consensus.
Okay, thank you.
Then it disappeared.
Okay, thank you. Did you write your name on the register?
Yes.
Okay.
Mark Robinson, 419 Nelson Avenue. I do appreciate what Mr. Helbling and Connie, what you just said, and especially with having bump outs and then some more focus on the crosswalks, especially in Bellevue Elementary. Driving down the street the other day, I saw that somebody had run over the yield sign in the middle of the school crosswalk. And if that kind of thing's going to happen in an area where there really isn't a lot of visibility other than that one sign, what's going to happen when there's kids walking back and forth across there, especially outside school hours when they're going to touch. So I do kind of implore you to take another look at that and do come to some compromise as far as there is a need for it. Let's just make sure we put them in the right spots. And the second thing was, Sue mentioned that on the walks, you were talking to some of the professionals and things about where to put them and the need for them and things like that. And you mentioned one thing, and that was you never got any feedback. It's not just me personally. I've talked to multiple residents of Bellevue who reach out to council members to try and provide insight, ask questions, and we very rarely get feedback from you guys. So if we want to get it, and I'm hearing that you want to get feedback as well, please make sure that you're responding to the people that put you guys in those seats. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other visitors who wish to speak? Okay, no visitors wish to speak. Thank you. I appreciate your coming tonight. We are going to have an executive session, and we are breaking for executive session for personnel issues, and then we will then come back into the interim. Okay, guys, let's, do we have a motion to authorize the solicitor to have access to all employee timesheets as needed?
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to authorize the solicitor to have access to all employee timesheets as needed. Discussion on the motion? No discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Nays? Are there any nays? There are no nays. Motion passes. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. This meeting is adjourned.